Tonight is live from New Central Studios here in Lagos. The top stories tonight. U.S. condemns deadly attacks in Kwara State and other parts of Nigeria, backs President Tinubu's security interventions. Joint Health Sector Union suspends nationwide strike 84 days after embarking on the exercise. Officials confirm latest round of talks between U.S. and Iran in Oman end with hopes of reaching possible truce.
In business, President Tinubu unveils national halal economy strategy to position Nigeria for $7.7 trillion global market.
And in sports, detained Senegalese fans begin hunger strike in Morocco amid delayed trial.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight with the Kayama local government attacking Kwara State, which has left a trail of devastation and grief, with conflicting reports and a number of casualties. According to military sources, at least 75 people were killed, while village heads put the figure at around 200. The attack, which occurred on Tuesday, February the 4th, was reportedly carried out by jihadist gunmen who targeted the Woro community, burning homes and shops and executing residents who refused to adopt Sharia law. While President Bola Tinubu has condemned the attack as cowardly and barbaric, deploying an army battalion through the area to restore peace and security, the United States has backed the Nigerian government on the military actions. Igbalani Omoni has been in the community tracking developments there since the incident. He joins me now. Ni, thanks. Casualty figures have been a bone of contention since this incident occurred. Please, can you confirm the figures you're getting both from the authorities and the security agencies?
I would start with the fact that both of them on their side are sticking to the figures they have. For the Brigadier General, he mentioned that they confirmed 75 bodies, but when we got to the community, the resident had a different figure. In fact, they showed us the place where over 70 people alone were slaughtered, and we could still see dry blood cloth all over the floor, and they explained to us how they were laid on the floor and killed, some burnt, some shot, and some even kidnapped. According to them, the figures are for the Muslim among them, they buried over 79 people. They mentioned that was the burial on the first day. On the second day, over 40 people. And for the Christian community amongst them, they've buried over 23. And they mentioned that there were also some Togolese, about 6 of them, which raises this figure to almost 200 people, according to the locals there. And they had buried them. So the Muslims, they have buried them. And for the Christians, they've been lifted and taken to for proper ritual proceedings. However, the Brigadier General mentioned that 75 are the numbers they can confirm. Also, when we moved into Kayama local government later today, we met the village head who lost not only his second wife, lost 2 of his children. His apartment was burnt to ashes. One of his vehicles was stolen. Another of his vehicle also set ablaze. He mentioned that we have over 200 people that have lost their lives. So that in some way tallies with what the locals are saying, but of course against what the authorities are saying.
What you're hearing on the ground now, does it confirm the assertion by the village head that it took the military over 10 hours to arrive in that location? And how bad really is the road to that place?
Well, I can tell you for a fact from Kwara, Ilorin, which is the capital of Kwara, to Kaima local government is about 5 hours. Now, from Kaima itself to Woro community, it's about, let me say, an hour, 30 minutes, which gives us a total of about 6 to 7 hours from the capital to that community. So depending on where the military officials are or were at the time when they were called, now that will help us navigate or break it down to how fast they could respond to the attack or how quick. Now, according to the locals, the incident started at about 5 and lasted till about 2 a.m. in the midnight. Now, if we calculate it by that time, from 5 to 10 p.m., that's close to 5 hours, then 10 to 12 extra 2 hours, that's 7 hours, then till 2 a.m. in the morning, that's about 9 hours. And they said the military came around 4 a.m. in the morning, which is about 11 hours since the incident has started. But so if we are trying to navigate it from where, if, for example, the military is coming from the capital, that will be 7 or 8 hours just as we spent. But of course, we don't know so many other things that might be parameters or issues that came up during the response time. But we spoke to the Brigadier General and he mentioned for a fact that they responded in due time and made sure that they were there to bring peace and order. However, the locals are not comfortable with it, saying things have already gone way berserk before the military arrived.
Nema says they are providing support. The president has condoled and said he has deployed military over to that place. Can you confirm the presence of either NEMA or the military in the time that you have been there? And what exactly do they look like they're doing for the people?
Well, yes, we can confirm on our way to Warrior Community. As we said, we met the convoy of the Brigadier General of 22 Battalion, who's covering Kwara State and a part of Niger State. And he confirmed that he has his men stationed there, but we had to see it for ourselves. And on getting to the community, we could see at least 3, 4, 5, if not of patrol vehicles, military vehicles of the army there. And even while we were there, we could also see a handful, if I'm not trying to mince word, I would say probably about 30 police officers led by the area commander, and also kept coming in there to run an on-the-spot assessment, although he could not speak to us, noting that it is the Commissioner of Police that could actually speak and give accurate on-the-spot assessments, because he needs to give feedback. But we can confirm, even as that when we were living there this night, we could still see military officials. They were stationed there. The police also were stationed there, and they are going to sleep there tonight. And in a way, I think it kind of gives some sort of assurance to the people there, not to stay for a long time, but at least to rest there tonight. Because while we were even going towards the community, we could see so many people moving out their belongings away from that community and just moving to Kaima. And even Kaima, where we are currently, the fear is still thick because it's like an hour journey. Yesterday, there was an instance where we were speaking to the traders, and they mentioned that just by hearing a shout, they all just started running, thinking they've come again. So the fear is quite huge, but security presence is there. But they are only saying they will come back to their community if the military or the security operatives can guarantee their safety on a long term.
And you literally quite answered the most pertinent question here, how the people are responding to the response from the government after this incident. Quite a sad reality. Thank you very much for the coverage, and please do stay safe. While we're concerned about what's happening in Kwara State, in Borno, once again, ISWAP militants launched a devastating Friday morning raid on a military base in Jakana. Insurgents reportedly stormed the facility with explosives and heavy gunfire, killing a yet-to-be-confirmed number of soldiers. Reports say that the terrorists destroyed armored tanks and seized vast amounts of ammunition before troops were forced to retreat. This latest assault follows a string of deadly ambushes, including the recent loss of Lieutenant Colonel and his men. Despite official claims that the insurgency is nearing defeat, ISWAP continues to consolidate its grip around Lake Chad. Also, the fallen heroes have been reportedly transferred to the 7th Division Military Hospital in Maiduguri as search teams look for the missing. Staying with security matters, residents of Abande village in Mbokoi, Turan ward of Kwande local government area of Benue State are expressing relief following the deployment of more security personnel to the area after a deadly attack on the community by bandits left more than 16 persons dead and others unaccounted for. News Central's crew, led by Sage Ibrahim, made the daring trip to Abande, a remote village more than 2 hours away from its ward headquarters, Jatuaka, and a mere 4 kilometers to the Cameroon border. It brings us a situation update.
Why we're here right now is because, well, the officer just said that we are moving, but the reason why we had to stop is because we heard a gunshot from here, 2 gunshots actually, and 2 others from the other side just behind my cameraman. Now, the thing is, we had to do some clearance. The officers had to do some clearance. If you move with me this way, you would see that officers are positioned right here at the moment, just trying to make sure that everywhere is safe and clear before we can proceed to the community. Just some precaution before we move and continue our trip to this area. The armored personnel carrier that was following us initially has moved ahead of us to ensure that these areas and the terrain is cleared before we proceed with the journey. That's the update for the moment, and we hope that we'll get to Abande community and, of course, get these items, much needed items, and also security support delivered to the area as soon as possible. We're now in Abande community, and as you can see, well, security reinforcement is now here. It's safe to say that residents of this community would be able to sleep a little bit more peacefully tonight without a bit of concerns over the activities of the armed bandits, which is very real, by the way. On our way here, we had mentioned a scenario where we had to stop to sweep the environment because of some of the activities that residents of the communities before this area had spoken to us. They had said that before we arrived at that vicinity, about 2 gunshots in 2 different areas were heard, and as a result of that, we had to sweep those vicinities before we came to this very point. But for right now, as you can see around me, police officers are currently here in the location. The expectation is...
Coming up, civil society slams Senate's rejection of e-transmission of votes ahead 2027 general elections. We have details of this after the break. Just stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. U.S. condemns deadly attacks in Kwara State and other parts of Nigeria, backs President Tinubu's security interventions. Joint health sector unions suspend nationwide strike 84 days after embarking on exercise. And officials confirm latest round of talks between U.S. and Iran in Oman end with hopes of reaching possible truce. Let's quickly take you back to Kaima local government area in Kwara State, which has left a trail of devastation and grief, with conflicting reports on the number of casualties. Here's a reaction from the military authorities, who spoke to our correspondent on the ground, Igbalani Omoni.
Has claimed responsibility for this, but we all know that there are several sects operating within the Kainji National Lake Park, and it could be any one of them. But of course, it's a sect affiliated with Boko Haram, based on the events that happened during and the comments they were making during the attack to the locals. So the plan and the directives that have been given by the Chief of Army Staff is to first of all stabilize the place, which we are doing. That is part of the reasons I've remained here since the incident happened, is to make sure that the place is stabilized first, and to gain people's confidence to begin to continue their normal activities. And then the Chief of Army Staff is very clear on that, to expand the operations in such a way that we track and find these persons for attacks, to attack them. So possibility is very clear. You're also aware that the President has, of course, instituted a new operation in this area called Operation Savannah Shield. That is already in effect, and my brigade is part of the outfits.
On electoral matters, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room has criticized the Senate over its passage of what it described as a retrogressive version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026, faulting the removal of mandatory electronic transmission of results and the reduction of the election notice period. The Senate on Wednesday passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill ruling out real-time transmission of election results and retaining the provision for electronic transfer of results as provided for in the 2002 Electoral Act. The Senate also reduced the timeline for the Independent National Electoral Commission to publish a notice of election from 360 days to 180 days. However, the Situation Room, in a statement issued on Friday by its convener, Yunusa Yao, and co-conveners, expressed disappointment that the Senate deleted provisions requiring real-time electronic transmission of results from polling units to the INEC result viewing portal, making the process discretionary. Achike Chude is a political analyst and election observer. He joins me now as a member of the Civil Society Situation Room for this conversation. Thank you for obliging us tonight. I mean, you've had a meeting. Could you give us ballpark the core comments and decisions that were made from that meeting?
Yeah, well, everybody was angry. Let me just say that is the prevailing mood. Among civil society members, not just Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, but all over the country, and even the ordinary citizens are very, very upset. And there's a general belief and consensus that this act by the Senate is not representative of the position and the views of the Nigerian people. Don't forget that the Constitution Review committee of the National Assembly had gone to the various geopolitical zones in the country, and one of the major talking points was the issue of the Electoral Act. And again, of course, there are different aspects to the Electoral Act in terms of what the people wanted, but of prime importance was the issue of mandatory, obligatory electronic transfer of results real time from the polling units. And, so for the Senate to have done what they have done was clearly not a reflection of the position of the Nigerian people. And so they have not, in doing that, what they have done, they have not acted as true representatives of the Nigerian people. And so that's what the meeting was all about, to review what has happened and then to also plan a course of action that should be taken to get the Senate to resign this decision and then to get them to do what a more representative arm of the National Assembly has done, which is the House of Representatives that went ahead and then endorsed the electronic voting.
I'm sure there's a lot of skepticism as to the possibility of the Senate revisiting this matter, considering the presser that was done the other day by some senators trying to clarify what seemed to be known. What is your thinking on that? Because they were talking, I think if I remember correctly, the presser was about electronic transmission, that the Senate was not against it. But at the heart of it is the discretionary power given to INEC. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
No, you see, the issue, the whole thing about discretionary powers given to INEC just tells you that there is nothing different from what happened in the Act, in the 2022 Electoral Act, because that is what created a lot of problems. And it is that one of the things that was supposed to have been repealed, amended, and so that we could have obligatory or mandatory electronic, transmission of results from the polling booths. And so any other thing is at variance. Of course, you can see that some senators have come out boldly to say that what was actually passed was electronic transmission of results, and not what the Senate President and his team are telling citizens. Obviously, they are trying to walk back on it because they have seen the barrage of pressure from Nigerians across board. So it is very, very clear from what other senators are saying that the wool cannot be put over their eyes, that what they passed, what they understood to be passed. In fact, Abaribe did say that even from the words of the Senate president, that he understood what the Senate president to have said is that, the electronic transmission of results.
Talking of understanding, Achike, there are arguments for and against the Senate's action in terms of electronic transmission, considering the penetration of internet access technology and all of that. These were some of the concerns that were put on the table. I want you to speak to that, and also, as quickly as you can, paint us a picture, the most clear of the implication of this removal of mandatory electronic transmission.
Yeah, well, I think when you try to give the impression from what you're saying that the arguments are both ways, that's not true. I believe about 85% to 90% of the positions being taken as in favor of electronic transfer of votes. So you just have very, very few voices that are speaking, against it. And so when people say, well, the network cannot penetrate some parts of this country and all that, then why was the BVAS? What was the essence of the BVAS? Because the BVAS was used, to conduct elections even in remote parts of this country. So, and the BVAS was also dependent on the network stability and availability. So if BVAS could be used in that same manner, using the same network, so why would anybody talk about, saying that the electronic transfer of results will not work when BVAS has worked in most parts of the country? So if you're going to have issue of network, it's just going to be in very negligible places in parts of the country. That's what this is all about. And then again, with regards to the implication of not passing this electronic, transmission of votes, I believe that at the end of the day, this position is going to be reversed, because the fury of Nigerians really is on full display, and I don't think that Nigerians are going to back away from this. Like Nigerians usually do, because they feel so.
That would be great to see if it can really happen in quick time before the elections in 2025. But quickly, in a minute, if you can, I want you to talk to us. How does the reduction of the election notice period from 360 to 180 days affect the ability of political parties and candidates to better prepare for elections? Because that seems to be an issue.
It's not just the ability of political parties and candidates, and of course that is very, very clear. But some people are saying that there's something more insidious about the whole thing, because they've been muting the possibility of the election happening in November this year. Of course, one other thing you're also going to have is a major problem, logistic problem from INEC. INEC needs more time to be able to prepare adequately for this. And so when you now reduce all of these things, you're making things practically difficult, if not impossible, for INEC to be able to meet up with their various deadlines and timelines. And so that, again, is not the best under any circumstance. I think that the date of February 21 or 22nd or so for the beginning of the elections should be left sacrosanct, so that INEC will have enough time to be able to prepare adequately. Otherwise, you are going to have an election that will be marred with all manners of logistical problems.
All right. Achike, as always, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, too.
Still ahead, Mali journalists held after Niger junta criticism. That's after the break. The Joint Health Sector Unions, JOHESU, has suspended its nationwide strike after 84 days of industrial action that disrupted health services across the country. JOHESU announced the suspension at the end of its expanded National Executive Council emergency meeting held in Abuja on Friday. The meeting was convened to review the outcome of a conciliation meeting between the union and the federal government held on Thursday at the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. Renowned Niger Delta philanthropist and businessman Matthew Tonlaga has marked his 50th birthday with a Thanksgiving celebration in Warri, Delta State. The colorful event attracted Governor Sheriff Warri and other dignitaries who praised the celebrant for his consistent acts of generosity. News Center's correspondent Austin Azzi reports.
It was a Golden Jubilee celebration as dignitaries from across the country converged on Warri, Delta State's economic hub, to celebrate philanthropist and businessman Matthew Tonlaga with a Thanksgiving service. The all-white party ceremony featured praise and worship by local and international gospel artists alongside comedy performances that added color and excitement to the event. In his remarks, the celebrant reflected on his humble beginnings, sharing personal stories that shaped his journey and passion for imparting lives.
When my mother gave birth to me after 3 months, they give me expired polio vaccine from Omolala Hospital in Ilorin. That is what I'm facing today. My mother was rejected. Everybody rejected my mother, but God stands behind her. But today, I want to tell you people that I have joy. I have joy. Jesus is my joy today, and Jesus is my joy forever.
In his goodwill message, Delta State Governor Sheriff Warri commended Tonlaga's enduring generosity and described his philanthropy as a positive force for societal development.
You're a courageous man, bold man, fearless man, and kind-hearted man.
Emotions ran high as the celebrant's wife and children paid tribute, describing him as a devoted husband, caring father, and a man deeply committed to God and humanity.
He's a loving and a caring husband. He's a faithful husband. He wants the best for not just me, not just our kids, for everyone he comes across. He wants the best for them.
So God, thank you very much for bringing this word of Father. And my Father, thank you very much for being my Father.
Traditional rulers, political leaders, clerics, and other guests also took turns to deliver goodwill messages in honor of the celebrant.
My message to him is that he should continue to believe in himself. He should continue to trust in God. And by so doing, the sky will certainly be his limit.
This is a man who is known as a philanthropist, an industrialist, a man who has put smiles, joy on the faces of Deltans and beyond.
My prayer for him, that the Lord give him more years to live.
Some lucky attendees went home with gifts, including cars, tricycles, mobile phones, and food items, such as bags of rice, reinforcing the celebrant's reputation for generosity. The event climaxed with the cutting of the birthday cake by the celebrant, supported by family, friends, and guests. In Delta for News Central, Austin Azzi.
About 30 engineers and architects have completed a 5-day vocation training and empowerment program focused on computer-aided design, a skill considered critical in today's construction and engineering sectors. The program, organized by Percentile Global Ventures, brought together young professionals for a hands-on training aimed at improving technical capacity and ability to compete. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, completes this report.
Computer-aided design, commonly known as CAD, has become an essential skill in today's construction and engineering sectors as digital tools continue to shape how infrastructure and buildings are planned and executed. Acquiring this skill is no doubt now critical for professional practice.
In the job market today, if you're trying to apply for a job, you see that they ask you for certain software requirements. In fact, we're in the day and age where if you don't have this ability to use these platforms, you're not even going to be qualified.
To enhance the capacity of young Nigerians in this regard, at least 30 engineers and architects have been empowered by the Percentile Global Ventures in collaboration with the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board on skills focusing on computer-aided design.
We're trying to have another intake of young architects and engineers who will be able to use this computer-aided designs to be able to better their lives.
While the program brought together young professionals to improve their technical capacity through practical design modules that use industry-standard software, beneficiaries said the training will enhance their technical capacity and workplace competitiveness.
You know, modeling basic industrial project portfolio. These are a lot. In fact, the training content is very rich. Very rich. I'm very much excited that I had the opportunity to learn.
We actually trained on AutoCAD. We started with AutoCAD. Coming here, actually, I came to explore. I've never done anything in that area before. But as of now, I have learned a lot.
It's part of my portfolio, so if I'm going for a job or applying for something related to this or outside the box, because it's a very diversified class.
Before now, like I said earlier, I never really had an idea of, I just knew like the basics of interior design, but now like I think I know more about the whole.
Organizers say the training responds to growing demand for digital proficiency across engineering and architectural practice and hope the program will impact beneficiaries in their choosing profession.
I want to see them, able to do things that they've learned from this training, not just coming for the training, but also taking the takeaways from the tutors and everything that has been given to them at their disposal to be able to make use of it for like a sustainable career path for them.
While the program gives participants the opportunity to also be independent, organizers say continuous skill development is key, considering the evolving nature of technology. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Thank you, outside our shores, a Malian journalist has been detained following a publication of an article critical of Niger's military leader, JOHESU. Publication manager of Al-Alternance was questioned by authorities after writing on comments made by Niger's junta chief over a recent attack at Niamey's main airport. The article challenged official claims linking the assault to foreign governments, despite responsibility already claimed by an extremist group. Media groups say Sissoko faces charges related to false information, state reputation and diplomatic insult, with legal proceedings expected to continue in March. And to one of our top stories tonight, Iran says indirect talks between its officials and the United States have ended in Oman amid weeks of rising tensions and fears of a possible military confrontation. Iran's Foreign Ministry Abbas Araghchi confirmed that the talks have concluded, but said discussions are expected to continue. He said that the future of the negotiations will depend on consultations taking place in several capitals. Shortly after the talks ended, the United States announced new sanctions targeting individuals, companies and vessels allegedly linked to Iran's oil trade. Alexander von Rugen is a global policy analyst. He joins me now for the indirect talks in Oman. Thank you very much for being here. What are the key factors that led to the decision to hold these indirect talks between the U.S. and Iran in Oman?
The internal situation in Iran is very volatile right now. It's speculated over 30,000 protesters, peaceful protesters, have been killed under the direct orders to the Ayatollah. America basically gave them an ultimatum: if you're going to kill innocent protesters, we will come in and deal with you. And that was a direct threat from Trump. The allies of, and of course, there's been accumulation of military strength around in the Gulf now. There's an aircraft carrier there, destroyers. They're getting ready, and it's a duplicate of what happened in June in the 12-day war. Those forces are ready, and indications are this time they'll come in more aggressively. So, of course, the Khomeini is a very proud and stubborn man. He's got to show strength. He's got a problem internally with his own people. We've got Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah, inciting protesters to carry on. They're pushing for a regime change, which ideally would be the perfect scenario here if the Iranians were to take out the Ayatollah. Trump has a dilemma. He can't replicate what they did in Venezuela. He can't go in and capture the Khomeini. That would be tactically wrong. He can't kill him. That would make him a martyr. The best solution would be internal regime change, Iranian to Iranian.
All right. How does Iran's insistence on limiting discussions to its nuclear program affect the U.S. demands to address issues like ballistic missiles and support for regional proxies?
Well, it literally canceled the meeting. Mark Rubio said, look, if we're not here to talk about everything, especially, financing of proxies, Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and deal with the killing of your own protesters and the ballistic missile limitations, why are we getting together? Well, that was retabled, and to give Iran the posture of control of the narrative, we're going to keep it to nuclear discussions. And then the allies of the states, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Oman. Originally, the discussions were going to be held in Turkey, and they moved them to Oman, which is a more neutral location, being in very close proximity to Iran. So that's how we got here. That doesn't mean it's not going to end up in a military conflict, but I think America is using diplomacy, and they're catering to Persian culture, which is a longer, prolonged negotiation. It's strategic patience in Persian culture.
All right, Alexander, as always, thank you for speaking with us.
My pleasure as always.
Tonight returns with business, sports, and entertainment news. Stay with us.
Looking at business now, President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, launched Nigeria's National Halal Economy Strategy on Thursday, aiming to tap into the $7.7 trillion global halal market and diversify the economy. The initiative is projected to add $1.7 billion to Nigeria's GDP by 2027. Shettima highlighted the strategy's roadmap for halal sectors, including food, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, tourism, finance, and logistics, emphasizing disciplined, inclusive, and measurable implementation to drive jobs and exports. And about Nigeria's economic reforms, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has held talks with World Bank Managing Director for Operations, Anna Biader, on deepening collaboration to build a more productive and competitive economy. Discussions focused on expanding reliable power supply, strengthening agriculture, accelerating digital infrastructure, improving trade flows, and unlocking private sector investment. The Ministry of Finance said the meeting underscored President Bola Tinubu's reform agenda and growing global confidence in Nigeria's economy. We look at the equities market now. We see that activity surged as the all-share index added 1.01% to 171,727 points, pushing market capitalization to 110.23 trillion naira as investors move decisively, favoring sectors with momentum while trimming positions in others. Now, looking at how the sectors performed, the banking industry gave back a minor 0.11% as traders locked in gains in GTCO and Zenith Bank. Now, insurance bounced 2.16% with ICO and Cornerstone Insurance drawing fresh buying interest and fueling the sector's rally. Oil and gas, yet again, stole the show, climbing 2.47% as Seplat and Awando led aggressive accumulation, keeping energy counters in the spotlight. Consumer goods nudged 0.40% higher, and industrial goods also powered ahead 1.7%, with cement majors seeing steady buying activity. That's it on business. I am Lekon Obanjo.
And now in the world of sports, a Moroccan court has adjourned the case of 18 Senegalese football supporters arrested after disturbances during the African Cup of Nations final in Rabat. As the detainees, they launched a hunger strike in protest. The fans were arrested on January 18, 2025, following unrest during the Senegalese 1-0 extra time victory over Morocco in a tense and controversial final. Their lawyer says that they have not been formally informed of the changes or the charges and were questioned in languages they do not understand. Court hearings have been repeatedly postponed, most recently due to the lawyers' strike in Morocco, with the case now set for February 12. Senegal has dispatched legal team to Morocco as a diplomatic talk continue over the treatment of its citizens. Super Eagles midfielder Alex Iwobi has said Nigeria still harbors hopes of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup despite uncertainties surrounding the team's campaign. Now, speaking during an interview, the 29-year-old reflected on the emotional toll that the qualification race and the dilemma that the team would face if forced to choose between the Continental glory and the World Cup ticket. Asked whether Nigeria would trade the African Cup of Nations title for qualification to the global showpiece, Iwobi said the different experiences within the squad complicated the decision. Iwobi, who featured for Nigeria at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, said the desire of many players is to experience football's biggest stage as it continues to weigh heavily on the squad. And Nigeria's under-20 girls, the Falconets, are set for their first leg 2025 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifier against Senegal on Saturday at the MKO Abiola Sport Complex in Abeokuta. Head coach Moses Aduku confirmed that the squad is fit, focused and fully prepared following intensive training camp ahead of the decisive two-leg tie. Captain Joy Ibokwe highlighted the team's unity and determination to deliver a strong home performance before the return leg in Dhaka on the 14th of February. Aduku revealed that there are minor injuries, but they are being managed carefully, with one player recovering from illness, ensuring that the squad is really ready. The coach appealed to Nigerian fans to provide vocal home support, emphasizing the strong backing that could do to boost the players, their confidence and performance in the crucial qualifier. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. Entertainment news is up next with Kate.
Tonight in the world of entertainment, veteran Nigerian singer Tubaba has dismissed comparisons between global star Wizkid and legendary Afrobeat pioneer Fela Anikulapo Kuti as ridiculous. In a recent interview, Tubaba described the comparison as unfair, saying Fela's influence, cultural impact, and historical contributions to music and activism put him in a different league. He stressed that while Wizkid is hugely successful and talented, placing him in the same artistic category as Fela ignores the latter's legacy and socio-political importance. Tubaba's comments come amid ongoing debates in the music industry and on social media about generational influence, originality, and the evolution of Afrobeats. Now that's it on Entertainment News for tonight. My name is Kate Adeogun.
We end the bulletin with our top story, which is the deadly attacks in Kayama local government area in Kwara State, where one of the residents relived his gory experience while speaking with our correspondent, Igbanali Omoni.
Come here to come and kill the people they do work in farm. They kill the people on 200 people. They kill her. They burn my children.
They burn your children?
Yeah.
How many children you get?
3 children.
3 children?
Yes.
9 you get?
Yes.
And they burn the 3 of them?
2.
2?
Yes.
Now 1 child remain now?
Yes.
Quite an unfortunate development. And that's our news tonight. As always, we would appreciate your feedback. Please share them using the numbers showing now on your screen. Would appreciate a follow on social media platforms. Further updates at News Central TV. You can choose to watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Have a good weekend.